Here. There, honey.
There's feedback.
Okay, and we'll do that.
Yeah, it's feedback. Okay. What
I have
happened?
to do it on that one. Okay.
Yeah.
Whatever. Guess what it is. Okay. Writers, readers, drinkers, lend me your ears and your livers. Welcome to Writers Drinking Whiskey Happy Hour at the, I'm going to try to hit this right. I know it's 3 C's. It's the Creatures, Crime, and Creativity Convention. Nope, conference. Is it a convention or is it a conference?
We just say con.
Con! We got it. The 3C3 Con! Quick announcement before we get rolling here. So as always with the show, Writers Drinking Whiskey, I am your host and resident creature, so don't give me water after midnight unless it's the waters of life, which we do have here for you Irish folks. William R. Hincy, and we got a triple shot of creative tonight. So, and maybe more. Anyone else wants to roll up here after we go through the original 3? I am more than happy to do so. And we are live streamed for all of you folks on the YouTube box. So, YouTube box people, I love you as usual. Thank you so much for that. We do have some swag. Usually when I do this, I try to do a little bit more swag, but we have some Writers Drinking Whiskey themed bookmarks up here that the lovely Claire would love to give you a stamp. And whenever I wish I could just push the camera over. Vanna White has over here. If you come over, get a stamp. Anyone else that's not on the show, I really love guests, and I really love guests that I had a chance to meet in person. So if you are at all interested in coming on the show, it is long form. I tend to ramble on as writers do, as I'm doing at this very moment. Come over, get a stamp, hit me up. I will be happy to have anyone in attendance, on the show. And spend a good hour, 2 hours getting to know you. But I think it's time to get to the libations kind of proper here. I had something, I thought it was witty when I wrote it, so I need to make sure I hit it here. So folks at the convention, I'm sure you are all familiar with Ellen Butler. But for the online audience here, Ellen Butler is the best-selling author of the Karina Cardinal mystery series. She's won numerous awards and has also written historical suspense and romance. So, Ellen, would you join us with your cocktail of choice at this time? Oh, very good. So come over here so we can get you on the camera. And I am, I know, this. It was so funny because I do the agendas for the show because besides the drinking, I don't drink during the day, so it gives me a lot of time to prepare. And one of the things I was going to ask is I do the show and there's a special portion, which we'll hit towards the end. I call it shots.
Okay.
And it's rapid fire questions. And actually, for the online people, if you want to just anywhere anywhere around there would be perfect.
You got it? We good? Okay.
So we do shots, but it's just rapid fire questions, and no one actually does any shots with me. So I'm hoping you'll help me rectify that today.
Okay, well, we'll see.
Someone's taking that home, right?
No, I'm staying here.
That's even better, see?
But the booze started at 2 today, so we'll see how we're doing.
And we do have the writer's tears.
Oh.
Anyone that's here. And anyone that would like a drink as you're sitting up there, come partake. But one of the things when I started this show that was important to me was that I had done a few podcasts, not a ton, but enough to know that I wanted to do something more personal to where you actually got to meet the authors and feel like you had a drink with them, had a coffee if for the non-drinkers, whatever it might be. So I don't like the normal questions all the time.
Okay.
And one of the questions I don't think writers ask themselves enough, and I got this from Ken Liu, who was a guest on the show, a dear friend now, had mentioned this to me, but what are you great at?
What am I great at? Actually, I can tap dance.
Very good.
And I'm pretty good at it. Maybe not great, but there was a day when I was great at it.
All right. What's the day you were great at it?
Well, back in my ye olde days in high school and college.
Right.
I was on some dance teams and things like that.
Oh, very good. I like it. You know, when I tell the lovely Claire all the time is that a dancer dances, you know? And so I was not on any teams because I'm not a good dancer, but I'm a dancer and I dance. So,
My
amen.
response is let the dancers dance.
Awesome. And then I know, so you write historical fiction.
I do.
You write lots of fiction, like lots of different genres, which was really cool.
I like to provide my readers with a variety so that I can, so when people come up to my table and say, what do you write? And I say, what do you like? And then I just say, well, I wrote some of that.
Very good. I like that. I like that a lot. So if we get to the historical a little bit here, because I just have 20 minutes. So I'm out of my element because usually, like my wife knows, like it took me a long time for her to realize we were dating. So
you weren't doing it right.
Lovely Claire, this is a true story. So I'm a long form guy. I play the long game.
Long game.
But what is it about exploring the past what has it taught you about yourself?
About myself? Well, I kind of always knew that I like the past. I like learning about the past because, you know, we're here at the present because of things that have happened in the past. So I've always been interested in that historical aspect of how did we get here? How did we get to these events in life? I was a political science major in college. So, okay. You know, you were always looking at the past to see why the politics are the way they are today. And so I think just learning about the past teaches you about how you are and why you are the way you are and how you grew up. And also, I'm interested when people talk about the past. My historical fiction is a World War II spy novel, and what inspired it was my grandfather was a cryptographer during World War II. And I wanted to dig into that and figure out more of that. And so that's how I ended up having this spy thriller type novel.
Right, sure.
In World War II.
You know, it's so funny. I don't know when I thought of this, but at one point I realized that people that are older than you are literally like a window into the future. And that, like, when you're young, you're like, oh, those old people, they don't know anything, you know, suck it, boomer, you know. And then, like, you realize, like, holy shit, like, if I just asked them, they went through the same thing. You
right.
can kind of tell me what it looks like on the other side. So I sympathize with that completely. I like to ask something as the going to the future, right? So we talked the past a little. And we're speed dating. I know. It's hard for me. It's hard for both of us.
Well, so you know. Okay, there you go.
But what do you think the future of writing is?
Well, it's definitely shifting. It's not what it was. And it's interesting when you read information from the publishers and everything. I have to say, with the explosion of all sorts of different marketing, independent publishing, how Gen Z reads, you know, we're learning that they're reading on their phones and they want short things and they want subscriptions the way we didn't, you know, the way that we had, and are bringing it back for that generation. So I think it's very interesting to see how the new generations are consuming knowledge and consuming information. And a lot of it's online, obviously, or on their phones or their iPods. You know, what I want to know is, who are you talking to on this podcast? Who are your listeners? And I find a lot of Gen Zs and millennials are listening to podcasts. And so I think that the publishing industry needs to look at this, and the traditional publishers, I think, are struggling a little bit with that, because somebody mentioned the other day, it's like the Titanic. Is it going to be able to move fast enough to meet these new needs? And I think also we need to look at what I'm learning about are these, what they call whale readers. I don't know if you've heard this, but whales are these readers who read 4 or 5 books in a week and just consume. And how are we meeting those needs? And I know that this is very big in the romance. I used to write in the romance industry, and these romance readers are just voracious. And so you have to keep up with that. And the traditional publishers aren't or can't. Some of the smaller press is starting to do that with rapid release, but especially the independent authors. I think they're very successful in that industry, in that kind of cottage industry of the whale readers.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I wonder when you say that, it makes me think about like AI, the dreaded, right? Like everyone worries about it, but when you start talking to those whale readers and like people that just want content upon content, how does the human ever keep up with the content churn as well as the robots?
So
that's how sophisticated I am. When I hear AI, I literally see robots. I'm just like Terminator showing up.
Well, I think when I've spoken to some of the whale readers and asked them, I said, can you tell the difference between your AI and do you think you notice a difference? And some of them are already saying, yes, I think that they feel as though they've read some and that they have not followed that line. Some of them say they don't care because they just want to consume. So I think AI is here to stay. I was actually asked by one of my distributors, they were sent out a survey and they were asking about AI and what do you think about it? Would you sell your rights for AI to learn? And they gave you different samples of way AI could learn. And I'm like, sure, if you want to use my books for your AI to learn, I want you to pay me, like you would option a book or something like that. Mm-hmm. I want to get paid for that. You want to use it? Sure, but I want to get paid for it. And the problem is, obviously, it's already happened and we're not getting paid for it, for them to consume our books and things like that.
Sure. Yeah, the current format of it, right? The current iteration is very exploitive. Right? Mm-hmm. It just takes and doesn't give anything in return.
Here's one other little anecdote that I had. So Apple actually said, hey, we're running this beta program for you to turn your book into an audio format using AI voices. Would you be interested in doing this? And I had already sold my audio rights to someone else, so it was not an option for me. But about 2.5 or 3 months later, they suddenly revoked this beta testing, and it's because Findaway Voices was suing them. Because Apple had just offered up their voices to train this AI model, and these people said, you didn't have our permission to do this. And Apple was just letting them have the bank. They were like, open it up, let you go. And Findaway Voices said no, and they joined together with, I think, SAG-AFTRA as well, because many of those people were SAG-AFTRA members, and good for them. I haven't looked lately, but things were going well for them, actually, last time I looked. But now I'm also hearing that new contracts coming out for these voiceover artists have in little fine print that allows them to use their voices in the future for AI purposes. Mm-hmm. And so that's a big hoo-ha.
Sure. And so get into the romance here, because I'm glad you gave me that transition, because I wanted to ask you about this. So I think you also write some suspense?
So I started out in romance. Okay. I was writing romantic suspense, and I kind of realized that I enjoyed writing the suspense more. And if you read like my Karina Cardinal series, there are loves, I don't want to say love stories, but there are men in her life. But the thing I like about it is I don't have to give her a happily ever after at the end. So she's gone through a couple of men, but obviously in the romance, you have to give the happily ever after or the happily for now. So when I realized I liked writing the suspense and that I didn't always want to wrap up in a bow the relationship, that's how I kind of shifted to the mystery.
Very good. Okay. So what I wondered then, since you've written both of those, is there a connection between building suspense, if I can spit my words out now, and building like the romance of it? From kind of the technical writer, I try to give something back. The show is called Writers Drinking Whiskey, and I'm ethically and legally mandated to talk some writing craft. This is the writing craft I'm clumsily stumbling into.
So what was the question again?
Is there a connection between building suspense
and building a romantic relationship? Yeah, I mean, I guess you can make connections to that, absolutely, because you have to, when you're building suspense, you have to, like we talked about in one of the panels today, you kind of drop your your clues and build your red herrings and things like that. And you have to do that with romance too. You have to have the meet cute, and then you have to have them start a relationship. Or, sometimes they do the initial meet cute is not cute. They hate each other. And that's a big romance trope, is the haters to lovers type of thing. And so, you do have to build that throughout the relationship. Just as you're building suspense and mystery, you're building the relationship, and there's always the conflict issue. And, at some point they have to turn away from each other, and then you have to get them back together. And so I could see that connection. I didn't really make it until now. Thank you.
You're welcome. So are you ready then for so I do shots for all the shows, but we're going to do triple shots since I got only everyone for like 20 minutes here. So is everyone in the audience? I expect everyone to play along. If you have shots, just be ready. Oh, very good. Austin's with us. Who's with us? Who's coming with us? It's the Jerry Maguire moment. Thank you. Okay, so rapid fire questions.
Okay.
You don't have to drink the whole thing, but I would, because this is a very special moment for me doing this live. If you want to drink a good third of it, that would be appreciated. So here's our shots. So are you ready?
Go at it.
Anonymous reviews, guillotines, or the stocks?
Guillotines.
Guillotines.
Off with their heads.
Punishment.
Yeah,
Amen.
definitely.
Favorite historical period, and why does it resonate with you?
So I am writing in the 50s right now, and I love the 50s because I'm a car girl, and I love the body styling of the 50s cars with the bulbous lights and the fins, and it just looks cool when you're driving around in a big pink Cadillac, right?
Amen.
So 50s, I think.
Very good. And then we've had all the talk about the aliens now, right? There's the Tic Tacs. Everyone, like, the government talks aliens. Tomorrow, the aliens show up.
Okay.
And they ask you one piece of art to teach them about mankind. What do you give them?
That's a hard one.
Take the there you go. Dramatic pause.
One piece of art.
One piece of art. Yeah. It could be a book. I mean, in art, it can be broad.
Oh, so anything, any art.
Art in the broad sense.
I think, the one that came into my head.
I want to hear the one that came into your head.
Do you remember the story Animal Farm?
I do. The aliens are getting rid of us if you give them animals.
That's what I was thinking. Like, were these horrible people?
Something that lies to them.
Something beautiful art? Okay.
No,
but you're here. Wait.
Whatever
You're here with mystery thriller writers who we kill people for a living, right? And figure out how to bury the bodies and things like that. So you want beauty?
Whatever you want.
Well, if you want beauty, I'm going to say, the ballet, like the Bolshoi ballet or something. And that is art and the beauty of the ballet. So that's what I'm going to say for art. If you want to try and survive.
Right. I liked your first answer, actually. I think that was the right one.
It was either that or like Lord of the Flies.
Aliens are
We're all awful people. We're terrible human beings.
And then thank you so much for this. And again, I would love to chat with you more. So
sure.
we can link up after and
sounds good
for Zoom to have you on longer. But so every show when I do these live, we do a giveaway. And it's trivia, so everyone feel free to shout. And whoever the lovely Claire thinks picked out the right shouter will get the $25, or as I say, a book because of inflation, Amazon gift card. So, she's saying you should pick. You pick who says it first. And if you want, where did I put the question? I had a question.
I'll have to put my glass on so I can see everybody.
There it is. So, and all of these are C3 themed. So we're doing Creatures Crime. Yep, that one.
All right. C3 themed. This creative is known for his Southern wit and wrote under the pen name Mark Twain. Oh man, that was like everybody in the room, dude. Who gets it? Raise your hand if you just screamed out Samuel Clemens. Yeah, that's like half the room. That is too easy. All right. Who has a birthday closest to today?
9/11.
Right there.
You deserve it. You deserve it.
That you deserve it for that, man.
Man, they never
But,
came.
yeah,
Thank
you finally get
so
one
much.
for it. You
Thank you.
finally get one for
Yeah.
it.
Never
Yeah, because I'm sorry about that, man. But you get 20. You earned $25. Oh, sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, are we done?
We're done.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Woo. All right, thanks for that. And so we're moving on to Vaughn A. Jackson. Come on up, Vaughn. And I got the bottle here. Let's give you some of these writer tears.
Hope they're not mine. Might be salty.
We're all salty at times. It happens.
How do microphones work? Is that good?
You
hear me?
got it.
All right.
I assume the YouTube people are happy.
They get a good view of Godzilla over here. I reversed.
No audio. Now they say yay. Okay, I think we're good.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry, YouTube people. I'm not experienced at this. I'm a writer. This whole being, although I am a natural.
I'm a drinker.
Yeah. Amen. So let me give you the introduction here, especially for the online folks here. And this is straight from your website. So if anything's inaccurate, it's because you're an author and none of our websites are up to date.
Yeah.
So you're an author, editor, and sometimes poet of dark speculative fiction. Your work generally falls into one of three categories. We have creatures, kaiju, or cosmic horror. And this often blends elements of fantasy, science fiction, and horror into an unholy abomination.
Yep.
And
Sounds about right.
That was what my mom originally named me. And it turns out I'm the seventh William, and my dad was like, no, I have veto power. Because ever since we came from Ireland, these like brats have been William, and she was like, fine. So that's my middle name. Awesome. So I wanted to ask you then, so as a writer of horror, I thought this would be a really fun place to start, actually, because you write horror. So what story or piece of writing made you the happiest writer?
That I've written, or
Yeah, that you've written.
God damn. Okay. This is going to sound really dark. So I wrote a story, my novel Touched by Shadows. It was written at a time that I was going through sort of a conflict with racial identity and that position in the world. And when I was writing the novel initially, I wrote it very angry. I was very angry when I wrote it. But when I finished it, it kind of had this cathartic moment where I felt sort of lifted, lightened. So yeah, my probably my most traumatic story is the one that sort of left me, I guess, the happiest at the end.
I think that's a really touching story, because I think one of the things that we've lost in this idea that writing needs to be escapism, that's true. It can be. But the Greeks also had it right? With all the tragedies and things, that catharsis.
And people screaming in the audience.
Exactly.
That was the best part.
Yeah, the people screaming, the Greek chorus.
Yep.
Give me a Greek chorus nowadays. Like,
all novels should be read that way,
Yeah, very good. Awesome. Thank you for that. Getting back to the horror aspect of this, what haunts you?
Just everything. Man. I'm going to take my casual drink.
And while you take the drink, and this is why I ask, because I think this goes beyond horror, right?
Right.
We have fears. We have things that, besides fears, things that just haunt us. I mean, I'm sure I do. I think I write from a lot of places of trauma, even though I write satire and things sometimes. How do you channel that stuff into your work?
I think the thing that probably haunts me the most, and again, I'm really giving really dark answers, is the fact that I come from the same species that commits some of the atrocities that have been done throughout history. and I get to look back and say, oh, yeah, I'm one of them. Great.
All right, sure. So, it's funny. We're a weird species, right? Like I had it ended up being my short story collection, Without Expiration. I used it as an epithet and just uncredited things. It was a cut line from the story,
right?
From a story, and that was there's times I light the world on fire to watch it burn, and there's other times I light it on fire because it deserves it. And it was that character, but it's also how I felt at that moment. And then we do all these wacky things like this conference,
and they're good and they're great,
like amazing
right?
things too. It's like, how is this the same species?
Yeah,
like,
just we're weirdly unbalanced and dichotomous.
Right. Very good. So, getting into the writing,
right?
Again, legally
obligated,
mandated.
I appreciate it.
Yep. So you have the unholy abomination, right? And then, judging from your work, just looking at it, there's a lot of like blending genres and things, and even sometimes it's a blend. Sometimes it's really creating a whole new genre,
right?
Kind of what inspires that? Like, what's the genesis moment for you when you do that, and then how do you write it from there and still keep it relatable?
So my genesis moments are usually some combination of laying in bed at 2 a.m. and being like, what if I did this? And then waking up my fiance and being like, what if I did this? She's like, it's 2 a.m., go to sleep. Okay, yeah. I actually have written some of my stories based off of like nightmares that I've had. As far as keeping it relatable, I think that no matter what you do genre-wise or how you blend things or what you end up with, as long as you have something in there that a person can grab onto and see a reflection of a lived experience, a story can be relatable, even if it's, tentacle monsters descending from cracks in the sky and eating chunks of the planet. If there's a person who's like, I'm gonna save my cat, it's like, okay, yeah, I'm with that person all the way.
Right.
Yeah.
You're a good screenwriter because you saved the cat.
Yeah, right. It's like, I saved the cat.
And so that's actually funny you mentioned that, because I think one of the other questions I had is writing cosmic horror, right? I think you see this with a lot of movies, like Marvel, like specifically, right? Sometimes you get on these big galactic, these cosmic scales, and then it's hard to identify with what's important. Like, why do I care when there's a multiverse? Well, what do I care if I die if there's another me?
There's another me over there.
Yeah, that's like, what is it? 50 Shades of Grey, different than me,
Oh, Lord.
Well, I don't even know that book. The bondage version of me is over here.
How does the lovely
more.
Claire feel about that, I wonder? How do you feel about that?
She's going to cover her face.
His mom gave me the series.
Also, true story. True story.
Love that.
So how do you do that? So how do you do the cosmic scale, but still keep it for the reader relatable and with the stakes that make sense to them?
I think that as much as I love the term cosmic horror, it's a bit of a misnomer in a way, because at the end of the day, it's existential horror. So you don't have to have, as I said, you don't have to have a multiverse. You don't have to have Cthulhu waking from the sea and delivering madness upon all of humanity. You can have things that just aren't right. They're too liminal. They're out of place. They're just disjointed. These sort of small little bits of terror and dread that you can slip into a character's life and watch them spiral from it.
We like the character. You get back to the character and watch them spiral, which is all fiction. All right, so are you ready for shots?
Still got a drink.
All right. Good. So each one, you got to take the shot so that by the third question, you're answering the exact way I intended.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. Then.
All right. So you ready?
Do I take the shot before the question, after the question, or?
Well, I guess it's up to you.
All right. Question one.
Very good. H.P. Lovecraft and Stephen King each created kaiju from their darkest imaginings. Who you got?
Got to go with Lovecraft. Dude was crazy. Dude was absolutely crazy.
Dude was crazy. All right, very good. Have you ever witnessed anything inexplicable?
Yeah, I got published.
Very good, my friend. I got married. That was
Didn't witness that,
yeah,
so
no,
you know,
no one anticipated that happening.
can't confirm. Picture didn't happen. You know.
And then fact or crap, podcasts have officially peaked on this podcast at precisely this moment.
Oh, I'm the best thing you're ever gonna have. So yeah.
Fact, my friend. Thank you for that. Okay, we got trivia.
Oh,
There's the trivia. You can
Oh, I
skip the
can't read.
creatures.
I can skip the creatures. Okay.
Yeah.
This cryptid is reported to portend disasters and was famously spotted ahead of the White Bridge disaster.
I got West Virginia folks here.
Want to say I heard Will's voice back there first.
We got somebody. My man is correct.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was like,
All right, nail it.
Will.
You got it.
Will. I think it was his voice. Sounded like a Will.
You get to choose. You nailed it.
Then I choose Will. He has another Godzilla shirt on, so.
This is for you, my friend. Thank you so much.
Like
And
it?
thank you so
Oh, yeah.
much.
Thank you.
Hey,
Move your
get a
table out of the way.
bookmark?
Huh?
Get a bookmark?
Yes.
Email me so we can. My email should be on the website. If not, just hit me up.
All right, yeah.
We'll figure it out. Awesome. Thank you for that. And lovely Claire, did I leave my water somewhere? Because as much as I like my whiskey, I probably could also use a little bit of my I have the waters of life. I could use the other waters of literal life. Awesome. And so let's get to our third guest, and we'll extend this if anyone wants to come up here. But we have Reed Farrel Coleman. Would you like to jump aboard? And I'm glad. I know you don't like the amber whiskey. Austin was like, "What?
If you have Pappy Van Winkle's, I'll drink it.
It's Writer's Tears. Is that better than Pappy?"
No. I'll stick with red wine.
Awesome, my friend. Good to meet you.
Deserve judgment.
Well, I say that to everyone.
All right.
You probably already judged, as you probably should have. But here we are,
Here we be.
and we're doing a podcast. You know, the peak of.
Well, it's certainly the height of my life.
Very good. So let me give you the introduction here for anyone that online doesn't know. So you're the New York Times bestselling author. It was 31 novels as of your website.
32 now.
32 now. So you know, author has the website completely updated, completely in line. You've been called the hard-boiled poet and the noir poet laureate. And around here, we just call you welcome.
Well, my wife calls me schmuck, but that's, that's.
Very good. So welcome to the show. I'm really excited for this. So I like to ask, I like something positive to start here.
Oh, you got the wrong guy up there.
What is your strength as a writer?
Longevity. Yeah,
Longevity.
my first novel was published in 1991, and I'm still here doing this.
Very good. Yeah.
So, much to my wife's dismay, longevity seems to be.
Very well. Yeah, there's the perseverance, right? Like I think every writer needs a bit of the stick with it. Make the next book, stick with it next.
Absolutely, because this is a tough business.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody who does everything says, "Oh, this is a tough business. It's not for the faint of heart." This is really not for the faint of heart, because a lot of rejection is part of this.
Yeah. You have to be really good with rejection. And see, that's why, getting back to the lovely Claire, who rejected me numerous times, and then once we were dating, I thought we were dating for 2 years.
There's that perseverance thing.
Yeah, I persevered.
Yeah.
This is how I got married. Thank you for that. So, it's been said that we're living at night, and that the term gives me the heebie-jeebies a little bit here, but that we're living in the post-truth moment. And does that notion of post-truth, does that affect your writing at all? Does that, especially because I'm thinking you write a lot of private investigators, like things like that, where there's a crime and then you're literally looking for the truth of that situation, right? Does the whole post-truth notion, does that affect you at all?
As long as you don't mention AI when I'm up here, I'll be very happy.
I might.
No, you do, and it's going to be trouble. No, actually, we may be in the post-truth era, but I think largely this crowd is really interested in the truth. But, writers are very witty and very sharp and will use it to some people in this room will use the post-truth era to their advantage. Sure. The greatest compliment actually that I ever got was from somebody named Eddie Muller. If you guys watch Turner Classic Movies, Eddie and I were once doing a panel together that was on noir. And I said, Eddie, I don't really write noir. He said, you are the noirest writer in the world because in your books, truth makes everything worse. So maybe the post-truth era is for me.
Well, I've also heard the term the age of authenticity. So you literally at the same time, I've heard people call it post-truth and people say it's also the age of authenticity, where people are so sick of the post-truth and like not getting at that. All they want is authenticity. So I think you're going to do well.
If I last long enough.
Very good. How do you balance? Because there was the two quotes there that both equated your fiction to poetry.
Well, I started as a poet.
Did you? Okay,
Yeah. I started as a poet. I was a published poet by the time I was 15.
Very good.
And I thought, I'll get a regular job and get out of school, get a regular job, and continue to publish poetry because there's a precedent for that. I mean, T.S. Eliot was a bank clerk. Wallace Stevens was an insurance executive. William Carlos Williams was a general practitioner. And that's exactly what happened to me as I got a normal job, kept doing poetry. But anybody who's done poetry knows the following is true. If you want to be poor, be a writer. If you want to be destitute, be a poet.
Well, you know what the real truth is nowadays. If you want to be a poet, you become a professor.
Well, I was going to say that when I was at Brooklyn College.
I don't mean anything bad about that.
No.
The world needs professors.
It's actually, it's funny you should bring that up because I took poetry at Brooklyn College and my professor was a guy named David Lehman, who's now actually a famous poet. And I took classes with Allen Ginsberg. And I always thought, if Allen Ginsberg has to teach at Brooklyn College, maybe poetry is not the way to go.
Hey, man, I've had lots of academics and poets and things on this show. So God love them. If you're out there watching on this afternoon or this evening of a Saturday.
I'm going to have angry poets.
That shows that you really are a poet.
I'm going to have angry poets following me now.
They don't organize well. You'll be fine.
That's true.
How do you manage though? So because with writing the 32 books now, right? There's the and I think I struggle with this sometimes as a writer because I'm a short story. I think I'm a short story writer by heart.
I've published many of those too.
Yeah, and so there's that same word economy of it. How do you manage kind of meeting deadlines?
I've never been late in my life. Yeah.
So how do you manage that with keeping the poetry?
I grew up in a house. If you were 5 minutes early, you were 10 minutes late. Mm-hmm. So I've never been late for a deadline ever, and it's just the way my mind works. Yeah. Now, I didn't say it wasn't shit that I handed in, but it's never late shit. So
very good. Amen. And then as a last one here before we hit the shops.
Come on.
One of the things is I've talked with a ton of writers on the show now, right? And there's and I actually don't experience this, but a lot of them do, is the loss when you start a new story, right? When you close the chapter on those characters you love and you move on to the next one. I know you have some series and things too, but there's still, I'm closing the chapter on this book and moving to the next one. How do you deal with that sense of loss to kind of move on to the next one?
It's my job. This is my career. So I try not to get too sentimental about my characters. I hope the readers get sentimental. In fact, they do. They ask me about my characters of series that I no longer write. So I'm glad they get sentimental about it, but I can't afford to be sentimental about it. I was afraid you were going to ask me about writer's block, at which point I would have gone out of my mind. So
what about writer? Well, you also
writer's block. I love writer's block is this romantic notion that people have, especially new writers. It drives me nuts.
Yeah.
Do lawyers get lawyer block?
Yeah.
You know, garbage men get garbage can block. Oh, I'm sorry. Today I just can't pick up your trash. No.
I think ours do.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, I'm from New York, and I can testify that they sometimes get garbage can block. No, I think, you know, when you it's not hobby, right? So it's your job. Now, that doesn't mean everything I write I'm happy with. There are days it's crap, but I still do it, right? To me, writer's block is if something else is going on in your life. It has nothing to do with your writing, but it's getting in the way of your writing, or in the way of your garbage
Is
cans.
there anything else that irritates you that I can bring up on this podcast today?
There's many things. In fact, my brand on Facebook is called "Get Off My Lawn."
Oh,
So
yeah.
so get the fuck off my lawn.
Amen. All right, so are you ready for some wine shots?
I was born
Here,
ready
all right,
for
let's
wine.
cheers.
Cheers.
To this before we get
Sláinte.
rolling. All right, so why did I write it that way? Okay, is there a mystery in your life? So you write a lot of like the PIs and things.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a particular mystery in your life, in real life here, that affected you? And if so, did you ever get to the actual resolution?
You've been to my website, I see.
I search websites.
Yes, actually. Yes.
Wow.
Yes. It's strange that you should ask that. If it's coincidence, if it's not coincidence, you did a good job.
I don't do enough.
No, when I was 15 years old, I witnessed somebody die of a gunshot wound right in front of me. Obviously, it affected me.
Sure.
It led me to certain themes in my work, but that is still an unsolved homicide. Yeah, I was 15 years old. I was going to work at Baskin-Robbins in Sheepshead Bay in Brooklyn, and I heard a gunshot, and like a moron, stupid 15-year-old, instead of running away, I ran towards it and watched a gentleman who'd been shot in the abdomen fall over and die eventually. So yeah, that's this unsolved mystery in my life.
Sure.
Hey, I'm a cheery bastard, aren't I?
But that's the dichotomy of the show, though. I actually have lots of fun, but I actually like to get into these things. My wife knows, and we went to the UK kind of right in the middle of Brexit. And so we're there. Her family, like, it's not my family in the UK. We went to visit her family in the UK. And I'm asking all of our Uber drivers about Brexit. And she's like, stop asking them, stop asking them. I'm curious what people think, you know? Like, they would get upset, but they weren't upset with me because I have, you have no answer. So what is it about crime and the pursuit of justice that connects with you? Is it that moment that connects with you at such a visceral level, or is it?
No, I think crime, because when you write crime fiction, you can write about anything as long as you're entertaining the reader. They don't realize you're actually talking about incest or abortion or drug abuse or murder or any existential thing you can bring up, as long as you're entertaining the reader first.
Sure.
You know, I despise writing from theme. Like, I'm not interested in people who want to preach to me, but if you write crime fiction and you write it well, you can really discuss all sorts of things as long as you entertain the reader, because that's your first job.
Yeah, amen. Getting into the very serious topics here. Cats.
Meow. I have 4 of them.
Demons escape from hell, or balls of, fury balls of pure evil.
Both. Because I have 4 of them and can attest to it. Yes. Yeah, and if you ever clean the litter for 4 cats, oh, it's a joy. Oh, it's a joy.
Where was it? Best private investigator, Ace Ventura or Columbo?
Just one more question. It's not Columbo because he's not a private detective.
Oh, so it's
So
Ace
it would
Ventura.
have to be Ace Ventura.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Amen. And last shot here of the night, unless other people are coming up, and then we'll do more shots. I have a whole list of questions.
And he has a lot of whiskey,
we have a lot of writers'
whiskey,
stories here. Favorite podcast, and why is it Writers Drinking Whiskey?
because I'm here right now, and you're larger than I am.
Amen.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And we have to do our last trivia here because we have one last gift card. Would you like to read? You can skip the crime. It's the starting with Elizabeth.
Elizabeth Short was an aspiring actress from Boston whose unsolved.
You already won. You don't get to win again.
Black Dahlia.
Yeah.
All right, you won. We got it. Yeah, that was it. Very good. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you, my friend. All right, so would anyone else like to come up?
Who's the winner? Make it clear. I think they're not sure who's winning. Who won?
Who won? Did you win? Did you say, oh, okay, it wasn't the same person. It was just the same area.
No, I think it was.
No, it wasn't.
I said it when he said it was short.
Oh.
Oh, very good. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you.
Yeah. Awesome. Would anyone else, or we can close it for a show? Oh, come on! Come on!
Yes, that's true. The big giant.
Do you also need a glass? I have extra glasses.
I'm trying 0% alcohol.
Sorry. It's okay, you're fine.
You don't say that on the show.
I mean, no.
We pretend all the time.
Yeah, I'm so drunk.
Sometimes I record at 9 a.m. It's just a wooden cup. No one knows.
Sure,
It's
let's
fine.
throw the shots in here.
Okay, so I'm doing this completely blind. So
Awesome.
hook that up. Yeah. Anywhere would be fine.
Okay.
They'll hear us good enough. Everyone in the audience here, is this okay? I think voices are good. I wasn't too worried about it. So could you then, for our online YouTubers,
Sure.
introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Jessica L. Sparrow, and I'm a writer of Gothic horror fiction, particularly Puerto Rican Gothic horror fiction.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So I take it you're from Puerto Rico?
So, wasn't born there, no,
Okay.
but my parents are.
Okay.
And I'm originally from New Jersey, actually.
Oh, very good.
Yeah.
So what was it, just because your parents were born there? Is that what got you into?
I think it has a lot more to do with the fact that, like, even though a lot of us weren't born there, but we're still infused into the culture itself, you know, in everyday life. A little bit too much at one point. So growing up, I was just like, oh, this is a lot. And once we moved to Maryland and I was away from my family, I was like, oh, wow, I really miss it. You know, it's a big part of everything that we do, especially around the holidays.
Yeah, I can sympathize with that because I was born in Morgantown, West Virginia.
Okay.
And up until, it was what, last summer, lovely Claire? Was it that we went to Morgantown? Or was it 2 summers ago? 2 summers ago. I used to say that I was born there but had never been. Because I was born, but we moved, and my dad was in the military. We kind of moved around, and my earliest memories are Omaha, Nebraska.
Okay.
But I grew up in California with Pittsburgh family. So I say buggy. Dana's here. We joked about this in some of the episodes. I never thought it was weird. I would go and I'd get the grocery cart. I'm like, oh, I'm getting the buggy. And everyone's like, what are you talking about? You know? I'm like, oh, what are Yens doing? They're like, what is Yens? Who are you? You know, what's wrong with you? But I get it that, like, at some point, like, it's roots that are there, even though you didn't, like, experience them. They're kind of below the surface.
Well, yeah, kind of like piggybacking off of what you said. Like, even though you were born there and then you moved, but you kind of sort of feel like you're still part of that.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the Puerto Rican kids who were born elsewhere, like, basically were born off the island onto the mainland, like, it's still so infused in everything that we do. And we have, like, such a big cultural pride about it that, like, when we return there, we say we return. You know, it's not like, oh, we're going to, you know, just to visit or whatever, or be a tourist. It's like you're coming back home. Yeah, so yeah, that's kind of.
Sure. So why horror?
Oh my gosh, why not? So I have a big family, right? And we always watched horror movies, even like just sitting around like a bonfire, you know, we're out the backyard, and almost immediately, someone just starts with like, you know, hey, do you remember that story, the time where like, you know, so-and-so got possessed with the devil and all, and, you know, and we're just like sharing all these scary stories.
Invite me to your family.
Yes, of course. Yes, definitely.
My family's like, you remember that time we were drunk on moonshine and we wrecked the tractor? Like, you know, like I want the possession one.
Yeah, no, like there's always like a horror story or some supernatural story that occurred in the family or some like lore from generations back. And we love it. Like we love telling it. And it's just something that's always been a thing. Like literally my mom would go down in her basement to do laundry and would put on the Conjuring movies by herself. And she's like, I watched Annabelle today. And I'm like, Mom, you watch Annabelle like almost every day. So, yes. And she, you know, raised me up on the Vincent Price movies. So naturally, I like took to Gothic horror almost immediately. And I'm like, I love Edgar Allan Poe. You know, and it just...
And we're in his neighborhood, right?
Yeah. So like when we moved from Jersey to here, one of my teachers was like, you do realize you're like moving to Poe's state. And I was just like, really? But I'm like, you know, 30, 40 minutes from Baltimore, but still, it was just really exciting.
Right. Well, and we're from California, so 30, 40 minutes, you're in the same neighborhood.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. You're there. It's all fine. So are you ready for some shots?
Sure, let's do it.
All right, because I've done this for a while. I have these memorized, you know. I actually go to bars with the lovely Claire, and I just ask random people these questions.
Oh, I love it. Let's do it.
So, all right, so sweet potatoes, abomination or suitable as dog food?
Are you sure you went in this blind? Because we usually make sweet potato stuff for my dog all the time. Yo, she loves the sweet potatoes.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So she knows, like I know they're yams people say, but I'm Irish, so I'm like the mighty potato didn't need to be made sweet.
So
perfect.
In my household, they are sweet potatoes until Thanksgiving, and we say candied yams.
Oh,
yeah.
Candied yams. Very good, very good. What is a pet peeve?
Sorry, honey, but I have to hearken to where at times my husband will open a drawer or a cabinet and just kind of like leaves it halfway open. And it became to a point where I
had a camera right now so I can see you and the lovely Claire as you say this.
Oh.
You talk about.
Yes. So like I ended up like slamming the cabinet doors and you know what he ended up doing? He put in those little pistols in the
Soft shut?
so it could close so softly so no noise would come from it, and it's just like it closes now.
Very good, very good. He got it. Yeah. And you got like you wanted, which was cabinets that
closed. I don't know. Soft. Either that or socks sticking out of the drawer. Drives me nuts.
Well, I like to shoot all of them. So our hamper's on the other side of the bed and the bathroom's right here.
Yeah.
So I say I keep a spreadsheet.
Oh no.
Because I do, and I shoot all of them. And because I grew up in the shadow of the Lakers. So everyone, I go Kobe, at least in my head, I go Kobe, and I send my socks, and the last one is meant to close the hamper. And if I hit all of those, I make sure everyone knows it.
Awesome.
Like in the house, they need to know.
Does he hit all of them?
Not what I
Very good. Awesome. So thank you so much.
No, thank you for having me.
Do you want to come on?
I would love to.
Zoom, so
I would love to. Yeah.
We can either meet up.
You did, yeah, and you
You
gave
have
me
my thing. Perfect.
you gave me one already, yeah, but I
Perfect.
absolutely
Yeah,
love
hit
it.
me
Thank you
up.
so
I
much.
would love to have you on.
Yeah, it would be great.
Thank you so
Good
much.
meeting you. Thank
Yeah.
you.
All right. Anyone else, or we need to call it a close? Austin, what's the? We're out of energy. Okay. Awesome. Well, thanks everyone so much. Thanks everyone online. We're gonna close it up. And anyone that's interested in the show, hit me up. You have the things. If not, if you go to Writers Drinking Whiskey on YouTube, you can find me. My email is on there, so anyone that wants to jump on. I usually take the end of the year off. So October I'll still record, and then I take some time because I'm a crazy Christmas nut.
The only time he buys anything.
Yeah, we'll go from there. So
I just want to get in to say thank you so much for being here. This was so much fun. I love the way you do interviews. I love the fact that the lovely Claire called bullshit on you.
I know, it's great.
Very good.
Side of stories is over.
the day of my one-side stories is over. Awesome.